All right, so I'm going to do this video. This is an Ask HershNoeie, and this is a pretty good question. And I will put I won't say the person's name because I never do that in terms of a video, but I do post the questions and the Ask HershNoeie's on our Discord so that people can actually take a look at it and it serves as a resource. Our Discord's more smaller of a format, and I figure if you're really dedicated to our channel, folks that are super dedicated, not saying that if you don't join our Discord, you're not, but I'm saying people that typically are on our Discord are super dedicated folks. So I don't feel as worried by putting someone's name and their message on that as opposed to YouTube where anyone just randomly going by will see that. I know that's silly and it's all the same thing, but I'm kind of weird like that, right? Well, this person asked a question. If you don't know, and I'm going off of the head right now, because I had the email pulled up and then I had to go onto my phone and then now my computer needs to update. So I'm not going to read it word for word, but generally speaking, this individual already lives in Tacoma and they live in the tiny home village up in Hilltop here in Tacoma, right? So they already live here, but they're wanting to get information on getting a home in Pierce County. Now, Pierce County, of course, is a pretty large county. There's a lot of different places that you can go to in terms of looking for a place to live. And so I generally will ask people, where in Pierce County do you want to stay? I'm going to go off the assumption that since they're in Tacoma, that this is pretty much the place that they want to live in Pierce County. They want to know what resources are available for someone who's buying a home, not a first-time home buyer, but buying a home. If you are a first-time home buyer, there are obviously, here's a resource, the first-time home buyer credit. You get that. The other thing is interest rates right now are extremely low. So if you have to go and get a loan, then your rates are very, very low. They're favorable for people who are buying right now. It's a buyer's market. However, here, the caveat is here in this area, it is a buyer's and seller's market, to be honest with you, because it's a buyer's market because it has been a buyer's market for a very long time. And so obviously people are selling homes, taking advantage of the higher home values that are here in this area. It is a seller, dependent upon the individual, is a seller's market because of the simple fact that you have a steady flow of people looking for a good deal. And when you look at what you're going to pay for a home in King County, anywhere in King County, then so Tacoma is both for a lot of people. And that makes things very challenging because if you're looking for a home, it's going to be very difficult. Now, I must say the tiny village is a development that was built by the city and they partnered with some nonprofits. I did a video talking about it. And mainly its purpose is for folks who are homeless, to basically have, it's a step program. So I don't know all the details, but the drive is to get people into better housing than what they currently were in, which some of these folks were in tents and things like that. And then from that point, get jobs and et cetera, et cetera. And some people already have jobs, but it's expensive here. So if you're looking for resources, those are going to be the first two. I have to say that it is going to be very challenging in this area if you don't have the income to back it. I say that to anybody. I know people from my neck of the woods, and my neck of the woods is Indiana, Kentucky and Indiana. And I let them know, like, here it's a completely different thing. Like back home for $350,000, you're going to get you a nice home. It's going to look like you were on The Real Housewives. Not that crazy, but you get a nice home. Here, $350,000 is not going to go far now, especially even recently in Tacoma. Tacoma, the average prices now have popped over 400,000. You're looking at about 417 or so. And that was according to a few months ago. So even though there's a lot of stuff going on right now that's out of our control, that has not stopped the housing prices going up, and the housing market hasn't done much. Now, obviously, it has altered things a little bit, but people are still buying quickly. It is very market driven. The economy here is pretty solid, right? So I have to say that if the income isn't there, if the finances aren't there, it's going to be very challenging to get a home. And that's pretty much anywhere, but definitely here. You want to make sure that you get a realtor, because they can help you go step by step through some of the things that you probably need to do. But I've bought so many homes, I can pretty much tell you that one of the things you have to do is make sure that you have good credit, or pretty decent credit, because otherwise that controls interest rates, that controls whether you're not going to or not you're going to get a loan, and a lot of times for how much. So they're going to look at debt to income ratios. They're going to look at a lot of different things when we're talking about a bank, right? Now, some people, not myself, don't need a bank. They just walk right on in and pay with cash. I don't have it like that, but some people can. So if that's not the case, you're going to have to make sure that the job matches what you're going to be able to purchase. And that can be a challenge. So financials are going to be the concern I would have, and the home prices now. Right now, it is pretty tough. I've told you guys my sister was thinking about moving down. This was about a year ago. And my sister, she ain't going to move nowhere. My sister's going to pretty much stay in Kentucky her whole life. But she was looking at homes and condos and townhouses here. And at the time, we're talking homes that were 250, 275, right? This was about a year ago. And these were homes that were pretty decent. Now, keep in mind, it's just my sister. She's a widow, so it's just her. She has no kids, so she didn't need a lot of space. But she was going to, because she has a dog and she has my mom's bird and all this other stuff, she was going to have a 2-bedroom. She wanted a 2-bedroom or a very large 1-bedroom with other ample space. And she was able to find it. There were a lot of pretty decent deals, 275, 280. That range, it was a great sweet spot. That was probably around this time last year. And it went from that amount where you could find a few. There were a lot of different things. She was sending me a lot of different places to take a look at. She had a realtor that was telling her about different places and different things. And they look great, right? All of them, with the exception of maybe 2 or 3, were close to downtown or right in downtown. And so you could find 280s, 290s, right? 275. And that's not the case now. It's not the case. Now, could you find something? Sure. There's always that one house that just pops up and you can find it. But the problem with that is that it's like a unicorn. Once you see it, there's 1,000 other people who have saw that same house and they're looking for a good deal. There are a lot of people who can afford much more house, and they buy low and they just do a ton of renovations to it, which is smart, because then they're able to make the house the way they want to. They get a much lower price. They're able to do a lot more with it, as opposed to buying so high up. What happens is people get blinded by the pretty, and then you back yourself into a situation where you can't really get out of it. So, and people often do that. So if you have a credit card that says you can spend $25,000, don't spend $25,000, because just because you can doesn't mean you should. Because once you do that, you really and truly increase your debt to income ratio, right? And once you do that, anytime you want something else, not going to happen because they're saying you're going to be, how can you pay for it? Where's the money coming from? So that's something that folks should really think about when they're looking for a home is get that pre-approval letter from the bank. They're going to tell you the most that you're going to be able to get based on everything. They look at everything. And then at that point, I would buy something much lower than what is on that. I'm not saying buy a hole in the wall, but I would buy something that you could easily do a lot of the fixing up yourself. You'd be surprised of what you're able to do. So that's my take on it. I would say in the Pierce County area, if you're wanting to buy a home, I would say Orting is there's a few places, right? Orting is one of those cities that I did a video about that's kind of starting to be an up and coming. It's a tiny little town right now, but developers are coming in there now, and that's changing. Could you find homes there that are a little bit more affordable? No, not really, because everything in Pierce County is going up. Everything's going up. And this is one of those very few places. It's kind of like a Bonnie Lake where you have a lot of trees and you look like you're in you are in a forest. You're in a forest setting. You know what I mean? Like those are coming few and far between in this area. I mean, we've knocked down so many of the trees for cities that you don't really have that vibe. And so really and truly, I would say places like Spanaway might be one of the cities that you take a look at. Parkland might be one of those areas you take a look at. But again, the biggest thing is getting a realtor, getting in touch with the bank, and seeing what your finances look like would be the first step. And then I would go from there. But anyhow, I hope I answered the question. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Make sure that you join our Discord, like, share, and subscribe. And until next time, I will see you. Take care.